Who's ready for another Young Justice newsletter? It's been a little bit. We've got several updates, including from Greg Weisman and even Nolan North himself, along with the return of one of our best and most classic Young Justice resources. So let's dive in. Now, before we do that, though, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell for all the updates. We do daily Marvel and DC videos, and we want to be your place for all the Young Justice news, but we're going to bring it to you truthfully and transparently, so you are really in the know. Also, while you're at it, if you want to support this particular show, check out those merch links down below, along with all the Young Justice comics. It's a great way to support this channel and Young Justice itself, helping all of us fans finally get that 5th season. Well, in the last week or two, we started to get some actual Young Justice news, and I figured it was a great time for a new newsletter. Now, we have a little bit of movement on that whole Greg Weisman hack story, a tiny update from comic and storyboarder Christopher Jones, the return of one of our favorite Young Justice sites, and Nolan North dropping some very Season 5 specific news. So let's kick it off with Greg's Twitter account. Now, as many of you know, Greg Weisman's Twitter account was hacked a few weeks ago and basically drove the creator off the platform. Now, Greg's been unable to resolve the situation with X, and sadly it appears their customer service has not helped him at all, leading him to completely abandon the platform. Now, sadly, Greg hasn't regained control of the account as of yet, but I did notice in the last week they changed the name back to Greg_Weisman, leading me to some temporary but quickly fleeting hope. Now, I know Greg hasn't taken back over the account because none of the bad content has been removed as of today. Some of it's pretty rough material and content and definitely not something Greg put up there, so once I know the account is clear, if your eyes burn, I'll let you know so you can return to check out some of his posts. Now, on the upside, we did see Greg return to his character countdown over on Ask Greg. Now, this site has been the central repository for him answering questions for fans even before he got active on social media, and he's been pretty quiet over there for the last couple of weeks. He's actually updated the page about a half a dozen times since January 11th, adding a few big names like Toyman, but really dropping no potential clues for any future seasons. And hopefully, with his Twitter account out of commission, he'll start answering fan questions once again. And if you go through that site, it's been a pretty awesome resource where Greg has shared almost anything Young Justice you want to know, giving lots of straight answers and talking directly with fans. Actually, interestingly enough, the update we got from storyboard and comic artist Christopher Jones actually pointed directly to that. Over on Twitter, he recently had the comic book reporter ask him flat out for some Young Justice 5 news. And although he made it really clear he's not an official source and Greg's not on Twitter, he actually referred us all directly over to that page. So it was nice to get a little bit of confirmation that the page is indeed the place for us to go, at least until Greg decides if he's going to return to social media. Now, this brings us to the big story of the week. If you remember a few weeks ago, in one of the earlier newsletters, we talked a little bit about how Nolan North, along with some other cast and crew, were trying to get the series up and running again. He had told a fan at a convention that they were actually seeking to find an animation house in Atlanta, and because the show didn't cost that much to get off the ground and produce, he was very hopeful that him and some others like Kari Payton were going to be able to bring the show back to life. Now, if you remember right, Nolan North actually voiced Superboy, and he played a ton of roles in the recently released Crisis on Infinite Earth, which led him to doing an interview with Screen Rant where he talked a little bit about Season 5. And although an official renewal for Season 5 hasn't happened, Nolan actually stressed, and we've said it many times on this channel, Young Justice has not been cancelled. In the interview he said, "Well, we have Warner Brothers people on Zoom right now. I'm telling you guys, we can do this. We can make another season. I don't know. I'm not privy to that. I know it's a hit. I know the fans want it desperately. I don't know. I wish I did. We were so fortunate to get the first 2 seasons and 3 and 4. As you know, if you saw Season 4, Superboy had a big storyline in that, and it was so much fun. I love Greg Weisman and Brandon Vietti. We have so much fun. They're so passionate about their stories, so fingers crossed that something gets done. Maybe in the future. I don't think there's plans right now, but we always say we're not canceled. We just haven't been picked up yet. That's how I always feel about the show. So nobody has definitively said there will no longer be any more Young Justice. Now, hearing this right from Nolan North, I have to find pretty interesting combined to the last story we had. Nolan played Superboy for all 4 seasons and is very involved in lots of DC animated projects, working frequently with Warner Brothers Animation and DC Studios. Now, according to the last report we had, DC and Warner Brothers were really the ones holding up this process, and apparently Nolan, Cardi Payton, and several others already had an Atlanta animation house lined up for another season. I actually really think him cheerleading the show in this particular interview to help draw a little bit of attention to it. Warner Brothers and DC Animation have to be gauging the interest because, like he said, they know it's a hit, and they know fans desperately want more. Actually, I would go out of my way to chime in on the interview or maybe comment anywhere you see. This is the stuff Warner Brothers Animation looks towards to gauge fan interest, and we all know we all want a season 5. Now, like we always say, continue to use all those Young Justice hashtags. For new Young Justice Season 5, and Save Earth 16 are all the go-tos. And we always point to, make sure you check out those comics. They're a great way to put a little money where your mouth is, which is really going to be the determinant of if we finally get a new season.